Hello and welcome to The Appointment. I'm Pranjal Sharma. Joining me today for a conversation is Gautam Singhania, Chairman and Managing Director of Raymond Limited. Gautam, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
You built a fantastic brand in the last 15 years of your leadership of a 90-year-old group. And you're also quite an icon yourself. Give me a sense of where Raymond stands today. How do you assess it?
Well, I think Raymond today is the #1 textile apparel company in India. It's been built over 91 years. This is the 91st year of the company. Has really built on the goods and quality of its services and products. If you look at the market in the textile space, I don't think the #2 guy is even 5% our size. So that just shows you that you've really got a dominant position as far as the fabrics goes. In the apparel space, we are growing as probably the fastest apparel growing company in India today. And if you look at the consolidated play, whilst we've reached a long way, I think we've really got a long way to go. I certainly see Raymond as a brand which is in people's mind as the top of mind. If you actually look at what does Raymond stand for, if you take one word, it's trust. It stands for trust. And how do you capitalize and leverage on this? If you see over the last 3 or 4 years, we built substantial new businesses in the way of made to measure, in home. Our shirting business has become very large. So there are many things that are happening that are driving our business to another level.
When you took charge 15 years ago and till now, did you have the vision when you began? Is it being realized now? How far away or how much further have you gone?
Well, you know, it's a dynamic situation. So if you say 15 years ago, I mean, up to 19, for many years after that, you were not allowed to make garments because it was reserved for the small scale.
Right.
As that opportunity opened up, we saw a different vision. So I think we have a rolling vision. Whilst you have an overall macro vision, it's a dynamic situation. Today, Raymond is even investing in Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia was not so good 3 years ago, but it suddenly opened up. And
right.
I think more than us wanting to invest in Ethiopia, it's our customers that are pushing to invest in Ethiopia, because Ethiopia has a most favored nation, economically backward country.
Correct. Yes.
So it has duty-free access.
And it's also, it is being used as a place to manufacture and then sell to Europe because
it's got duty-free access.
Absolutely.
It's a LDC, which is a least developed, economically backward country. So it has benefits which India doesn't have.
Absolutely. So, in terms of creating so many new brands, so while you've been looking at innovative fabrics, and I'll come to that on research and development that you've launched and you are really focusing on, you have now a slew of brands, and while trust is a very important factor, that's for some of the legacy customers, but the younger customers, the professional class, which has also become very strong in the last 15 years or so, it also means that Raymond means a lot of different things to different sets of customers. How do you focus then on the right set of customers?
Well, Raymond is the only company that sells a fabric from 150 rupees a meter to 300,000 rupees a meter.
Right.
So we transcend the whole price segment. Now, not only do we go across on price, we go across on product, and there's an everlasting challenge to make the product younger. We don't want to be a staid company. We want to be a company that's continuously looking at a younger target audience. We want to catch them young and then bring them into the Raymond fold. Like this morning, you saw I walked into the store, I saw these new linen shirts, and I was very pleased to see really high quality linen shirts being manufactured by the group now. We make, almost 25,000 articles between our brands that we offer per season. So the whole product development and research into what's going on has really upped itself.
How closely involved are you with product development, with research and development on creating new fabrics? I've heard and learned and I've seen some of the new fabrics that you've...
Well, I'm very passionate about product. Right. So whilst I am involved, I'm not involved. So I sit in on all product development meetings.
Right.
I'm very closely involved with the product development because I have a feel over the last 30 years. I've also pushed the team to go better and better, whether it's the 200s, 210s, 220s, 230s. We make 250s. Now it's a passion to make 250s. It's like a fabric gold, you know, but
It's the most expensive fabric
it's
in
the
the
most
world.
expensive fabric in the world. But we are the only company in the world that makes it. There's no other company that can make it. There are companies that claim to make it, and I can categorically say it's a false claim.
Right.
Because
And you're doing it in India.
and we're doing it in India. So it's a matter of great pride because our 250s is the best in the world, and it is really limited by the raw material so we buy all the raw material that comes up. Now, on the other hand, if you see a linen shirt, today you want to make the best linen, you want to make the best cotton. You've gone across fibers. Raymond only made pure wool, then it made polyester viscose, then it made polywool. So we made polywool, polyviscose, pure wool. Now we're using linen, we're using cotton, we're selling silk fabrics. So you're changing the whole gambit of what's out there.
You have been, as the head of the group, what would you say have been the surprises as you were leading Raymond into a completely new environment, and as you were saying, it's a rapidly changing environment. What has surprised you, and what has been your key learnings for the last 15 years?
Well, I think, you know, there's no particular surprise. I think every day is a dynamic situation. You learn something every day, you come across a challenge every day, and then you've got to overcome those challenges. That's part of life. That's part of the game.
So you get a new set of challenges and opportunities coming almost every day.
Yes.
And do you need to change the way you approach them? Have you changed yourself as a leader to be able to cope with this? It's not easy being able to manage something like this.
Well, the only thing that's constant in life is change.
Right.
If you don't change with the times, you're history. So we're continuously evolving as an organization. I mean, somebody said, leaders don't do different things, they just do things differently.
Gautam, I'm going to take a short break, but once I return, I'll continue my conversation with Gautam Singhania, who is the Chairman and Managing Director of Raymond Limited, and ask him what is he doing differently and how is the Indian market changed and where will Raymond be in the next few years. Stay with us on The Appointment. You've joined me, Pranjal Sharma, on The Appointment. I'm talking to Gautam Singhania, who is the Chairman and Managing Director of Raymond Limited. Gautam, the Indian market has changed a lot, and Raymond has grown and taken, seized a lot of opportunities. Today, where do you see the growth coming from? Do you see it from the professional class, the younger class? Your product range also is from the casuals to the extremely formal clothes. Your fabrics also, as you were saying, from 150 rupees a meter to 3.5 lakh rupees a meter. Where is the Indian market going for fabric and garments?
Well, I think India fundamentally is changing. I mean, if you looked at India 20 years ago, where would an employee's son get a job? He didn't have that option. Today, if you take just some sectors, whether it's financial services, whether it's aviation, hospitality, IT, there are so many sectors that have come up where the youth is getting jobs. That is a changing face of India. Number two, we used to live, people said that when I become 60 years old, I'll save enough money to buy a house. Mm-hmm. Today there's credit. So a 20-year-old is very different. He goes, he gets a job, he then goes and applies for a loan, he can buy a house on that, he can buy a car on credit. So today's 20-year-old is very different from a 20-year-old 40 years ago. He's living on credit, he's living the life, he's got access to a lifestyle today. Whether it's a multiplex, whether it's a shopping mall, whether it's retail, and there are people working in this. So today if you go to a young bar, you'll find a completely new crop of people, and this is the new India.
And that's why you also have to completely change your focus.
Yes, so we have different brands that address different segments of the market. We've chosen our markets, and we address those markets. And you can't stay with, 5,000 rupee a meter of fabrics, because you'll be dead, because the competition is coming from everywhere. The fabric industry has got competition from the apparel industry. Now, 10 years ago, there was no apparel industry because it was reserved for the small scale. So
Right.
these are continuously dynamically changing situations. Now, Raymond today has Raymond, it's got Park Avenue, it's got Color Plus, it's got Parks, all fundamentally differently positioned. Raymond in itself is now making apparel, which is a big opportunity. So you can walk in and buy a Raymond suit, a ready-made suit.
But it's also become more competitive for you, right?
Well, we always welcome competition. It keeps us on our feet, and we love it because it just energizes the whole organization to compete harder.
So the whole focus on brand also means that while you said that, your core value is trust, consumers don't value trust as much as something which is new, which is trendy, and the kind of consumer that you're describing is less perhaps loyal to brands than they were 15 years ago.
Well, if you look at it the other way, today if he's going to go and get married, his father, the first thing will tell him is get a Raymond suit.
Right.
And that comes from trust. He trusts his father to recommend it, and his father will recommend it.
Right.
Today, bulk of India gets married in a Raymond suit. I mean, it's the first preferred suit. So, so whilst you still have a very large share on the marriage market, which is the suit for the marriage, we're trying to catch the youth a little younger. So brands like Parks are going to that. Color Plus is in a different position. Color Plus is more 35-year-old, more casual space. Park Avenue is the young executive. Park Avenue has got a great range of suits, but it's also now got a great range of casuals. Like I showed you earlier, the linen shirts and all. It's a lifestyle brand. Raymond is also a lifestyle brand.
Is Indian market becoming more global? Do you see the appreciation of trends, colors, fabrics being
Today
a
the world is decimated. I mean, on my iPad, I can see the world. I can reach any destination of the world at a click of a button. If I want to see what an international brand is doing, I have to just type the brand name in and I get all the visuals and images.
And also people don't come to stores. The e-commerce change has also meant that while you have a fantastic store where we are discussing these issues, a lot of people don't feel the need to travel to a store.
Well, in this business, it's a touch and feel business.
Right.
People still like to see. Also, it's an impulse purchase business. You're traveling, you're walking around in a mall, you walk into a store, you like something, you pick it up. So from that point of view, this is not so e-commerce driven. People like to touch and feel.
But the casuals, perhaps?
Sorry?
The casuals,
Casual
perhaps?
is also about touch and feel. The washes, the finishes.
But you see that you will not have that kind of impact, either positive or negative, because of e-commerce for your range of
Well,
products.
e-commerce is an added distribution, this thing,
Right.
but you cannot get rid of the physical retail. I mean, this flagship store, people love to come here. There are hundreds of customers that come here, they look, they touch, you get advisory. I mean, e-commerce, I think at some level is overdone. I mean, let me give you an example. I was going to buy a television, and I had a guy, he said, no, let's buy it from physical retail. I said, no, but e-commerce is, so much cheaper. He said, yeah, but they don't give you installation, and they don't give you a warranty.
Right.
So I said, no, this is a top brand that I'm buying. I'm not interested in warranty. Why should I? I mean, it should be a great product. Luckily, I listened to him, because the next day we got a TV delivered from physical retail, and it was defective. Now, 1 in 100 chance it was defective.
Right.
Coincidentally, the guy replaced it overnight. Had I bought it through the e-commerce channel, my money was down the tube. But in e-commerce, you also got to read the fine print. You don't necessarily know what you order is what you get.
True. So that's an important piece of this. A little bit about, as the market becomes more complex and, new frontiers are opening for you as a group and at Raymond Limited. You're also professionalizing in a way that you're devolving a lot of your authority and decision making to a new crop of professionals. What does this mean for the company and the group?
See, to grow you have to change, and to change you have to grow. You've got to keep evolving. I mean, I can't keep doing the same job every day.
Right.
I'm secure enough to move on and do something different. There's so much I want to do, and there's a way an organization has to move forward. I mean, you have to give power to get power. I genuinely believe the more power you give, the more power you actually get. It empowers you even more as a leader. I've seen so many business leaders who sit there and they want to control everything, morning, afternoon, evening, night. There's so much more to life to do. And we've professionalized this group significantly. You must have read a lot of what we're doing. And it's not made me any less powerful. I'm being very candid about this. It's not made me any less powerful, but it's just letting me do stuff that I believe can take this group to the next level.
Gautam, we take a short break again, and when I come back on the show, we'll continue our conversation with Gautam Singhania, Chairman and Managing Director of Raymond Limited, and talk to him about the Make in India story, on how Raymond is contributing to that. Stay with us on the show. You've joined me, Pranjal Sharma, on The Appointment. I'm talking to Gautam Singhania, Chairman and Managing Director of Raymond Limited. Gautam, we've heard about your promise to the Maharashtra government. You're setting up a new plant, and you're contributing to the Make in India story. Tell us a little bit about the ease of setting up manufacturing units in India, in Maharashtra. Again, for a 91-year-old group and your leadership of 15 years, how has the situation and the ecosystem changed?
Well, I think the Prime Minister's initiative, Make in India, is a fantastic initiative. India is a cost-competitive country, and coupled with the fact that we are working in Maharashtra with Shri Fadnavis ji, who's really proactive in what he's doing along with his whole team, we decided to invest in Maharashtra. We were actually looking outside Maharashtra, but I think the Maharashtra government moved very quickly to secure our investment, and in 2 months from the time of announcing the project at Make in India, we finished the Bhumi Pujan and started the work, which I think talks a lot about ease of doing business. We did the Bhumi Pujan about a week ago, last Saturday, and we have committed to the Maharashtra government that we will get the plant started before 31st of March. Now, the government has also assured us that any hurdles that might come in the way, they will help expedite and clear.
That's by 2017?
Yes, 31st March 2017. And I believe them. I am optimistic that we should get this plant fully commissioned in less than 11 months from now. 11 months and a bit. And I think that will send a good signal. We have a master plan of our investment in Amravati. On the basis of Raymond's investment in Amravati, I think many more companies have come. And I think together all of us will help in the development of Amravati.
What are the, when you travel abroad and, you're also positioning Raymond as a global brand, how do you see India, how is India seen in your view across the world with some of your partners?
Well, I mean, today everybody's eyes are on India. I was talking to a senior business leader yesterday. I spent some time with the gentleman. He says, everybody's waiting with a check to give us to invest in India.
Right.
So at some level, the belief in India is more outside India than here. People outside really believe in this country. And if you actually look at it from a macro point of view, where are you going to put your money? Brazil, Venezuela, South Africa, Europe? I still think India is the best destination to invest.
So which means that would you be looking at, you mentioned Ethiopia, but would you be looking at acquisitions or growth, either selling your products or setting up plants or acquiring brands globally?
Well, right now our focus is the domestic market. So we have a large focus on the domestic market. Plus we've got this whole focus of exports. We want to service our customers better. So Ethiopia is really to service our customers better.
Right.
I think Middle East is a big market for us, where we have a plan to double our business there. Bangladesh is big, Sri Lanka. So we are staying within this region. I don't want to move to Europe because it looks good and launch a brand in Europe.
But you know, there's also very strong middle class emerging in Africa, in East Africa to be
So
specific.
we've opened up an office in Dubai.
Right.
And Dubai and Ethiopia as a combination will be our gateway to Africa. Ethiopia, for many people don't know, is the UN headquarters
Yes.
of Africa. So
It's
a
African
gateway
Union-
to Africa.
Right, I know.
So our first investment, I think, will start in January 2017 in Ethiopia. And from that, whilst we will service the US and Europe markets, can we use that to service Africa? And with an office in Dubai, I think that will become a good strategy to enter that market.
And that would make a lot of sense because all the brands that you have, because you have the elite, you have the smart young middle class, so it would in that sense map very well with your product suite as well.
Yeah.
One final point, Gautam, 15 years from hence, where would you like to see Raymond's? How different would Raymond be 15 years later than today?
I think that's a very tough question to answer because I think the world is changing at a pace that we are not able to understand. I can tell you where we'll see it in 3 years, but I think every year or 2 years you need to sit down and evaluate the pace of change. I don't think 3 years ago you would have predicted the disruptive change by e-commerce. And what will happen 3 years from now is very difficult to tell.
But that's a good learning also for a leader like you, because it means that you may have a 5 or 7 year plan, but now you have to bring it down to just 3 years and focus on the next 3 years.
Yeah, so our immediate plans are 2020. We have a document for 2020. We'll revisit in 18 and make it 2022. So you'll have to keep doing, because who would have predicted such volatility in currencies, oil prices? These have disruptive changes. I mean, we don't see companies go bankrupt any longer. We see countries go bankrupt. If you look, take on a macro level, if you look 3 years ago, we were looking at investing in Brazil. Had we done it, I mean, and everything looked great.
True.
Had we done it, you would have lost your shirt. 3 years ago, everybody only spoke about China. Now they speak about China in a very different tone. So see how quickly things have changed.
That's a very important point.
Look at commodity prices.
Yeah,
Look at
absolutely.
the collapse of commodity prices. So this is all something you and me can't predict.
So what will 2020 be for Raymond's?
Well, we have a vision in doubling sales, increasing profitability, market share. We've set down some criteria of where we want to be, how our power brands will succeed.
And perhaps launch new brands.
No, we don't want to launch new brands today because we believe Raymond and Park Avenue as two very strong brands. Rather than invest money in launching a new brand, I'd put that money to push these brands because they've done the hard work. Now they're on the home stretch. So I'd rather push the horse on the home stretch than try to take him through the.
Okay, bet on a new horse.
Yeah, or bet a new horse.
Right. Thanks very much, Gautam, for being with us today, and our best wishes for not just Vision 2020, but perhaps Vision 2035 as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks.